The Divine Lord God has both a blissful aspect and a terrible aspect. The spiritual life and the spiritual path involve the clearing away of obstructions, the clearing away of the veil between ourselves and God. And God can always see you, and God always has access to you, but when you do austerities, practice continence, cultivate devotion, and meditate on the Lord, you clear away a barrier between yourself and God. And it's as if you make it possible for a great divine beast to get to you, to pounce upon you. And God does pounce upon you. And at that point, there's nothing you can do about it. And that's why some of the Upanishads say that in the final analysis and in the end, your knowledge is not dependent at all upon karma or action, but the knowledge just presents itself to you, just like a fire is beside you, making you hot, and that you cannot get away from the knowledge. And once the great divine beast has you in its jaws, it's just like a lioness who has her prey and will not let it go for anything. One of the Upanishads says that Brahman, and now here I'm going to refer to Ishvara, the Lord, that Brahman is terrible and that he's like a thunderbolt. So God has this terrible aspect along with the blissful love aspect. And this principle is shown in the Bhagavad Gita, in the chapter where the Lord, this is Ishvara, the Lord, manifest God, reveals to Arjuna his true form and his terrible form. And Arjuna, seeing it, is terrified and quakes before him and cries out, "No, stop. Return again to your benevolent human form. Show me again your benevolent form. I can't handle this." You see, it's only the Vishnu quality of God inherent in Saguna Brahman. The Vishnu quality of God that makes us able to connect with God and interact with God. Otherwise, that great and terrible Lord in contact with him would simply destroy us. And you can get into contact with the Lord. The sound of Om, the inner blissful sound of Om, is also sometimes terrible and painful. When you feel God has you in his jaws and he's pounding away at your little self, your ahamkara, your ego, pounding away at it like a jackhammer and destroying it, it gives great, deep fear and restless fear in the bones. Woe is me, what am I? What's to happen to me? I'm dying. You fear you'll become mad, a madman, and that your life is headed towards an irrevocable end. And this is the great and terrible aspect of God. And again, it's only the compassion nature of God, or that potential aspect of the infinite Brahman, which God-seekers and religionists have named Vishnu, or Ishvara, the Lord, that makes us able to know God in a way that doesn't immediately destroy us. God has that great compassion potential and turns that to us according to our wish and our desire, so that we can know him in his blissful nature and yet remain as individuals and keep our ahamkaras and our egos. God never forces himself upon us to destroy our ego completely and utterly, unless we cry out for him to do that. And then as we feel the pain of that ego destruction and the great and terrible aspect of God, it is just God's grace. That very pain then, that deep pain of egoic destruction, becomes God's benevolent compassion of the highest kind. And it's the mother lioness returned to retrieve her cub.